This is the future.
We all know Revenant is strong in any high-level mission. He got the ability to negate all incoming damage and status proc with his Mesmer Skin ability. And if you pair this with Rolling Guard, you get an unkillable Revenant for solo or even team plays. But that doesn't end there. Revenant also has decent combos in his abilities. An enthralled enemy will receive more damage when you cast Reave on them. In fact, there was a time wherein you can one-shot all enemies with Reave if you subsume Nidus Lava ability to the Warframe. All you need to do is group everything with Nidus Lava, then cast Reave on the group target and they will die instantly. But it seems that the combo was too fun. I mean, it's an unintentional bug and got deleted from the game. But still, Revenant is a solid Warframe to have, especially in Steel Path missions. If you are looking for a solid Warframe to take down level 100 plus enemies and those Acolytes to farm Steel Essence, whether you are a newbie or a pro Warframe player, if there's any of you who want to be called that way, you can trust Revenant to be an absolute beast in Steel Path missions, especially in one-shotting the Acolytes. How is that possible, squad leader? With the help of his enthrall ability. I know it makes no sense, but let me give you the details. New players might just think that Revenant only excels in mitigating damage through his Mesmer Skin, but they are forgetting the fact his first ability is great crowd control, since enemies ignore you and target the enthralled units. It's more of an aggro control which gives you more room to operate and not just rely on Mesmer Skin alone. But that's not all Enthrall can do. The ability doesn't only force the target to fight with the player, but it also somehow weakens their defenses, that every time you hit them with any sources, whether it's your Reave ability or your weapon, they will die easily. This is why some players hate the Thrall Pact Augment, which gives extra damage to primary weapons per thrall you have in the field. The augment buff is unreliable, especially when you are using nuke weaponry, as thralls die easily, which means you can't maintain the buff at all. But that's okay, as we don't need additional primary damage from this ability anyway. This may not be known to newer players, but Revenant can also enthrall Acolytes, and this makes them vulnerable to damage that you can one-hit them with any strong guns in the game. To ensure one hit on all Acolytes, I added Mirage Eclipse ability to my build and replace Revenant's fourth ability. This is only optional though, and if you don't like some inconsistency with Mirage Eclipse when you are in dark areas, then you could just use Rhino's Roar ability. But if you haven't unlocked the Helminth system yet, then you can still easily kill Acolytes using Enthrall, then hitting them with any hard-hitting weapons. I will give some examples for the weaponry later, but for now, let's talk about the build. So it's basically a high power strength build with some duration and range. The high power strength is obviously for the Mesmer Skin charges. The more power strength means the more charges you have for Mesmer Skin. And of course, the higher the power strength, the more damage buff you get from the Eclipse or Raw Subsume ability. Rolling Guard is important for this build since we need this when we recast Mesmer Skin. Revenant's second ability will leave you vulnerable once you are recasting the ability, so you need the 3 seconds invincibility period from Rolling Guard to safely recast the ability. The stretch mod is optional since I only use it to cast Enthrall in farther distance, but you can place any mod that you deem useful for your playstyle in here. Lastly, the second Arcane is also optional and it depends on the weapon you are using. While Arcane Energize is a great addition for Revenant since this will give you energy to recast Eclipse and Mesmer Skin anytime you want while having enough to cast Enthrall to enemies and the Acolytes. This is best paired with Primed Flow since having more energy is better, especially when there's an Energy Leech Eximus unit in the area. For the weapon, my first pick would be the Kuva Brahma, but if you don't have the luxury of getting the Tenet and Kuva weapon variants yet, then you can stick with melee weapons. For one-shot killing, the Quasar Warfan is the best candidate for this one. At the end of the video are weapon builds that you can use on weapons for Revenant in one-shotting Acolytes. For now, let's discuss some pros and cons. The advantage of using Revenant is obviously easy breezing the Steel Path levels and Acolytes. The immortality of Mesmer Skin and Rolling Guard combo allows Revenant to be universally good for all players, while having the ability to make Acolytes vulnerable to damage sources allows you to kill them fast, and you may count on this as an easy way of farming those Steel Essence. If you can, then you can bring a Smeeta Kavat with the charm buff to somehow increase the number of Steel Essence gain. Just remember to unequip any vacuum mod so you won't accidentally get the Steel Essence. Just wait for the resource buff before picking the Steel Essence, but if it's close to 5 minutes and still the resource buff hasn't proc, then you should pick it up or they will disappear. The disadvantage, however, is that Revenant is not known as a farmer Warframe, and if you are one of those fellows who are farming not just Acolytes for their Arcanes and Steel Essence, but also farming resources in steel path levels, then Revenant is not the Warframe for you. Farmer Warframes like Korra and Necros are your best bet for this task, but if you just want those steel essence, then one of your easiest ticket is Revenant. Now go check out the rest of the video showing off the builds for my weapons I'm using with one-shot Acolyte Revenant. I hope that you find this video informative. Thank you so much for watching. Squad Leader signing off.
Evolution. This is the future. 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 Evolution.